breaking down all aspects of New York Yankees baseball. This is the Bronx Pinstripe Show with your hosts, Andrew Rotondi and Scott Ryan. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show, episode 364. We're back to our normal setup. Scott has concocted a jerry rig to make sure his microphone stand doesn't fall over. I'm back to my bedroom with a fan blowing on me, so it's not 1,000 degrees like it was in that basement last week. Scott, what's up?
That's a good description. Good description of what's going on. We're all back. Everything's back to normal. No more basements. Hopefully, I don't have to see another basement recording for a while now, and I can actually record from my office like a normal human being. Yankees are still winning baseball games, so we're good. You know, we got playoff tickets going on. We got playoff things happening. My head's in the playoffs right now.
I got to be honest with you.
My head's in the playoffs.
They played the Rangers this week.
Hard to get into.
I could not have given two shits about any of those games. They got shut out for the first time in 220 games, which is impressive. Since last June against Boston, they had a non-shutout streak going. Did anyone really care they got shut out on Monday? It was Labor Day. The team looked hungover. I was hungover. Everybody in America was hungover. So did anyone really care?
I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you're seeing that long streak and eventually it's going to end. So let's just get it over with and end it now.
Right.
So we don't go into the playoffs with this narrative that is like, oh, the Yankees don't get shut out, but what happens in the playoffs? Do their bats go quiet? Can they make enough contact? Are they going to strike out all the time? Is Giancarlo Stanton going to get up there and wave at pitches for 4 at-bats? There's all these things. So, yeah, we got rid of one storyline.
It was against
that's all right.
It was against Minor, so maybe people were a little annoyed by that because that was a guy the Yankees could have targeted at the deadline.
I mean, they could have, but the Rangers, when they didn't get rid of him, there was something going on there.
It is wild because the Yankees faced, obviously, Minor Monday and Lance Lynn last night. And I just saw people talking about this on Twitter, and I was doing some research myself, that the Rangers have 2 of the best pitchers in the American League by pretty much every metric you can come up with. If you want to go traditional and just look at ERA and innings pitched and that kind of crap, great. If you want to look at the advanced metrics, WAR and FIP and all these spin rates and everything you could possibly find that say these pitchers are good, they lead in almost every category. And they're such a bad team.
Yeah, and usually the pitching is what's their problem in Texas. I mean, they haven't had the reliable pitching in such a long time. When I saw Edison Volquez roll out there again, I was like, oh my God, you're still in this league? I mean, that was the guy, if you remember, that was traded. It was like a big trade when Cincinnati traded Josh Hamilton to Texas for
he's come full circle to round out his career.
Around. Yeah, yep, absolutely. So I was when I saw his name in there, I was like, oh man, I'm surprised you're still putzing around here.
So you said your head's in the playoffs. I agree with you. We've been talking playoff tickets, a lot of information going around. And even though the Yankees have business to clear up for the rest of the season, a lot of people just excited about those playoffs coming up. So what's the deal?
Yeah, man, a lot of excitement around that. It's I'm definitely falling full victim to it too. So the playoff tickets for what we have going on, if you're planning on coming into town, if you're part of the BPCrew, if you come to an event, then you know that today at 10 a.m. you're going to be getting an email that has the link to buy your tickets through us in sections 205 and 206. We have 472 tickets for the ALDS Game 2, home Game 2, unless something crazy happens, which
God,
we got bigger problems if that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
472 tickets out in sections 205 and 206. Unprecedented, but it's happening. We've already been a lot of our team, I know some of the people that have come to a ton of events are ready to go with these tickets. But 10 a.m., everybody who's come to an event, you will get an email and be able to purchase your tickets as well. So keep an eye out for that because, I don't know how this is going to work, honestly. I know the response that we got from the email feeler that we sent out to see how many tickets we should get or we should try for. And it was pretty overwhelming when we saw the amount of people that wanted tickets and all that. And that's just from people who've come to events. So I guess it makes sense, right? People come to events, want to come to more events. People come to games, want to go to more games, especially when it counts the most. So,
well, this is also a playoff game. It's a Yankees playoff game, which not everyone has a chance to go to.
Right.
How old were you when you went to your first Yankees playoff game?
Man, I don't remember. I was in middle school, I think.
Okay.
No, it was high school. It was high school.
Well, the crazy thing is
because they weren't in the playoffs when I was in middle
Well,
school.
that's true. But the crazy thing is the first playoff game I ever went to was the wild card game 2017.
Oh, wow.
So it took me a while to get to a playoff game. It takes people. It's not easy. I know I wasn't living in the New York area. That played a part of it. Had I been living in this area, I probably would have gone before that. But it's not the easiest thing to do because sometimes it could be a lot of money. Sometimes they can be sold out.
It's always a lot of money.
Sometimes it's midweek and you're like, well, I got to work and it's just not convenient. Well, guess what? There's a perfect storm of things going on for this event, home game 2 of the ALDS, because I think it's very reasonably priced for a very good ticket at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. You can get them before the public can get them. And it's on a friggin' Saturday, which could not be any more perfect.
And we know what's happening. That's the beauty of it. Like the fact that I'm knocking on wood here, but the fact that they're lined up for this ALDS and it's going to be a home game, right? Like it's going to be a home game.
They're either going to be the 1 or the 2 seed. So we know they're going to be hosting the ALDS.
Right. So because of that, we have a month to plan for the ALDS, which is crazy. That doesn't happen. So the fact that did line up certainly helped matters. And yeah, so these, I don't know how fast these are going to go or not go or not. This is uncharted territory for everybody, us as well. But from the response, I can tell you that it was way more than 472 tickets. The people that if everybody purchased, we said they wanted to tickets and responded to our form, they're going to go pretty quick. So so don't wait. That's it. Or they will be gone, and then you'll be into the pre-sales starting on Tuesday, because that's when all the season ticket pre-sales start, is on Tuesday. There's an array of them on that day for partial ticket plan holders and moving forward. But they start on Tuesday. I've seen the list of all of the pre-sales that go on that day. So
yeah, and don't be fooled by some of those pre-sales, because I've been suckered into that MasterCard one, because I have a MasterCard, and it's just like, okay, yeah, you get in a day early, 10 a.m. on Tuesday instead of 10 a.m. on Wednesday before the general public. But we said this a couple weeks ago. They may release like maybe 200 tickets total for that MasterCard thing.
Well, so they may release more than that, but the brokers go in there and they have
snatch
bots.
them up.
Like, guys, if you don't think these brokers have bots that go in online and just like have automated programs that run through these ticket sites, they do. They have them, and they can purchase a lot of tickets fast.
So you can get lucky, but don't bank on getting lucky when you can just easily go on and buy the tickets for, and you get a whole package with what we're doing. So tell people about that, because it's not just a game ticket.
Well, it's a game ticket and a T-shirt. It's not the same as the regular season, because a lot of that stuff doesn't really play into the postseason. The Yankees, they don't do the ticket or the beer and a hot dog in the postseason. But what you are getting is an event T-shirt. I got some ideas. So my brain is spinning with some extra creative things.
Unfortunately, it might be too late if we wait to see who they're playing.
For what? Oh, no, I'm not doing that. No. The T-shirt will not be designed around who we're playing. It will be geared towards this event,
what the Yankees are going for this year, that kind of thing.
Something. Yeah, I'm not. I don't have the specific concept in my head yet, but it's going to be good. I'm gonna spend some time on this one, but I have time. That's the beauty of this whole thing. So yeah, you get the T-shirt and the ticket, and then we're gonna figure something out for the pregame. Like, I don't know what it's gonna be yet, because again, when it comes to the playoffs around Yankee Stadium, like, it's packed. You can't move in these bars all the time. So there's no incentive for any bar to give us any deal. I can tell you that right now. If we can get something, we're probably going to go to Billy's, and maybe we can designate an area or something like that. So we'll get something going for the pregame. We'll certainly have a place.
Every bar on River Ave, 3 hours plus before game time, has a line out the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a playoff game. I remember when the wild card game 2017, you, me, and Dom, we got there maybe around 5:30 for the 8 p.m. start. We were drinking beer outside of stands in the middle of the street. That's how packed it was. Like if you could see the bar, then you were in the bar on that day.
And stands is ridiculous when it comes to like when that place gets full. You can't move in that place.
No.
And yeah, you got to shimmy and you basically have to grease yourself up to get up to the bar because it's packed. But at least Billy's has a little bit more room to move around in. So
the friggin' warehouse.
That's part of the places. But yeah, go get your tickets. Again, look for that email and gobble them up, man, because I don't know how long they're gonna last. I really don't.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Cannot wait. It's gonna be a fun weekend. I think you and I and some other people from the site, JJ, is trying to go to the first game as well on Friday night. And part of it, as we're looking, is who's going to be in that wild card game? Who are the Yankees going to edge out Houston for the best record in the American League? And they're a game and a half up on Houston right now for best record in the AL, and a half game up on the Dodgers for best record in baseball. I think, if we were talking when we were talking back in early August, we were just saying get guys healthy. If I'm asked between home field advantage and health, give me health. I think I've changed my mind on this.
You'd rather not be healthy.
Okay, that's not what I'm saying, but I think
kind of is though.
I think at this point though, you got to go for home field advantage. You're in the lead right now. They're trying to get Severino back. They're trying to get all these guys back, but I think home field advantage is as important as health to this team.
Here's the deal. You can't just go for home field advantage unless you're healthy, right? Like they go hand in hand. If you get healthy, then you're a better team, aren't you? So they do go hand in hand.
Guys keep going down. Gio Urshela just went down last week.
Yeah, I understand that. That's what I'm saying. If you can get healthy and that's your goal, then most likely you're going to be winning games too because you're going to be putting out a better team as the guys come back. And Urshela looks like he's going to return on Sunday when he's eligible as well. So
it's going to be.
I think that was more of a
precautionary. It's going to be interesting though because they just got Voit and Encarnacion back, and those guys have contributed already, which is great. But Stanton, when he comes back, could be rusty. Severino, will be rusty. Whenever Severino does get into a Major League Baseball game, he could be rusty. Betances could be rusty. So you actually might be sacrificing some wins on the field by getting guys to shake their rust off because there's going to be no more minor league games to do that. You're going to have to do it at the major league level.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing sim games right now. They're going out and getting as many of those things as possible.
Sim game is not a real baseball game.
Well, no kidding, but they're still at least going through the motions and making sure that they have their bodies as ready as they possibly can. So it's a good time. That's the thing about this whole thing. Like it's a really for them to come back and us to have the luxury of this large lead. I mean, we could bury Boston again. This
didn't we already do that?
Yeah, no, so we could just do it again. We just pour some more dirt on their asses.
Are they still alive?
When that happens,
you think they're still alive as far as playoffs go? They are five
I'm
and a half.
Sure they
five and a half back of Tampa for the wild card lead, but that means they have to leapfrog over two of the three teams: Tampa, Oakland, or Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it happening at all. Not with that team. It's not like their team has gotten any better.
No, and Sale's done for the season, and David Price and Porcello have not been as good as they were last year.
And Porcello, I mean, it's still, to me, it boggles my mind how he won the Cy Young a couple years back because the guy is pretty much what he is. He's like a high 4 ERA. That's what he is.
What do you remember? I know you don't remember, but what year did he win this? It was like 2014 or something like that, right?
Wasn't it 3 years ago?
Okay, so then it would have been 2016?
I think so.
Okay, but I feel like it was in one of those years where offense just disappeared.
So the ball was not gradually getting juiced? Is that what you're saying?
I think it was pre-juiced ball. I think it was right before the ball got juiced.
That's convenient for Rick Porcello. It was a dead ball. It was a dead ball year.
Yeah.
That's why Rick Porcello was able to get out of the American League with the Cy Young.
The seams were raised. They were higher seams.
Yeah. Look, they're for all intents and purposes done right now. So, they have
4-game series. I know they're not going to catch the Yankees, but they just need to win ball games. So if they take 3 out of 4 from the Yankees, they're still in it. They're still in it as long as they keep winning ball games. And we've been through this with the Yankees before, where it's like, okay, the math says, or the standings say we're not out of it, but logic says we're out of it. And I think that's where the Red Sox are. I think they know they're not going to make it, but 5.5 is not. The crazier things have happened than 5.5 back in early September. For hell, they blew like a 9-game lead in September in 2012.
They did. That was such a pivotal year. That was the year that the Dodgers bailed them out. The year after that, yep. They could have gone home and been a devastated franchise.
They blew up that team. They blew up that team of high priced guys like Carl Crawford.
But you don't get to blow up that team. You don't get to blow up that team unless you have a willing participant.
Oh yeah, the Yankees would not have been allowed to blow up their team.
But the Dodgers said, "Hey, we'll take all your crap. We'll take all your money. We'll take all of your horrible contracts and let you guys just, do it over again and rebuild."
The extra effed up thing about that was the Red Sox still could have overcome those things because they're the Red Sox. They're one of the elite franchises in the league that can swallow horrible contracts. They've done it time and time again, but they got like an extra free jail.
Get out of jail free card.
Get out of jail free card. It is 7 a.m.
Don't pass go.
Extra get out of jail free card from the Dodgers that didn't need it. They didn't need it. They could have still overcome all of those terrible contracts with Adrian Gonzalez and Josh Beckett and Carl Crawford and whoever else they offloaded.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I disagree with that because they would have been stuck with the actual players as well. And sometimes when you're stuck with
they could just get rid of the guys. They've done that. They did that with Pablo Sandoval. They did it with
They didn't do it at that point though. They weren't there yet.
Okay, so you're saying back in 2012 they were different mindset?
They were. They absolutely were. They hadn't won that, that next championship. They had a lot of big contracts. I was reading something about this actually, about that deal because it was pissing me off. About when we were playing the Dodgers and I was looking at the exact deal and Nick Punto was the guy, the throw-in guy at the end that they agreed to take on. And what it did, the Dodgers, it put them under the luxury tax. It reset their luxury tax as well. So it was such a big swing of events for
the Red Sox. You mean
for the Red Sox? Yeah.
Well, then they got lucky in 13 and signed a bunch of random free agents that somehow got together and won a World Series.
But they signed a bunch of guys that were complimentary, and they were able to do that. Whereas if they didn't unload that and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I don't even know why the hell we're talking. This team isn't worth my breath. But the
it's because the Yankees played the Rangers this week. That's why we're talking about
what it is the fact that the Dodgers bailed them out because they did, and they were able to have the flexibility to go out and sign more guys, whereas they would have been stuck with the same, group of guys that just didn't work together and just were not as good baseball players, especially for their contracts. So Carl Crawford probably still be, hitting in the 9 spot for the Red Sox at this point.
So let's talk about this Rangers series. I was very excited by 3 things that happened in this Rangers series. The first one being James Paxton looked friggin' awesome. The second being Lance Lynn has been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. And the Yankees, while they didn't crush him, they made his ass work. That big boy was sweating through 5 innings. Last year, we said Lance Lynn looks like he smelled like hot dogs. I bet the mound at Yankee Stadium last night smelled of salted cured meats because he was sweating his ass off 100-plus pitches through 5 innings. They got to him for a couple home runs. And the third thing I was excited about,
he doesn't smell like grilled hot dogs. He definitely smells like boiled hot dogs.
Dirty water hot dogs. The third thing I was excited about, 6:30 games are back, baby.
Yeah. That's a game changer. Those things are awesome.
9:15 at night. We're in the 9th inning. What is going on? I love it.
Why are we not doing this full time? Let's just make this move. Can we please make Major League Baseball, for God's sake, make the move? Do it. Just pull the trigger. Next year, 2020, all games start at 6:30. Let's go to 6:15. Let's get crazy.
Let's get nuts. People say, "Oh, I'm not going to get home in time from work," and actually, I missed the first couple innings of last night's game. I had something to do after work, so I get it. But I will sacrifice that maybe once every other week for not getting home for 6:35 first pitch. And it's not even really 6:35 first pitch. It's like 6:40 first pitch. But that extra 25 minutes really does make a difference at the back end of the games. And the games, they did move quickly against Texas, but even if it's a longer game, you're just giving yourself an extra buffer to not be sitting there until 11 o'clock at night for another Yankees versus whoever game on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's nice. I think maybe also because we're conditioned, and I know all the guys in the UK are laughing at us right now because I hear it every time we talk about late games. And now that we have this UK contingent, you guys are throwing in an extra little little different thing about it.
I talked to these guys at the event on Saturday, and I said, how many of those games are you really staying up for? The answer, none.
Yeah,
the only games they're watching,
can't.
I know you can't. The only games they're watching are the day games and then the weekend games, which I respect the hell out of.
Look, they're watching the games, but they're just not watching them live. That's the beauty of today. Like,
yeah,
you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going to turn on the local television and get spoiler alert for a Yankees game. You know, I mean, obviously there's the internet, but it's just one of those things that we're conditioned for these 7 o'clock games and then later. And when you start throwing something a little bit different at us, it's earlier, and we get a taste of that. I want more.
And the Yankees did it a bunch of the games before Memorial Day and now after Labor Day. Just keep it going all summer. If anything, it makes more sense in the middle of summer when it's easier to leave work early.
And kids, man.
Kids are out of school. Maybe they could stay up an extra hour or something at night. So, yeah, give me those 6:35 starts all year long.
Speaking of kids, one thing I totally forgot to mention, which is probably my favorite part about this whole playoff thing, because it's just kind of like a peek into what we're going to be doing a lot more of at Bronx Pinstripes and with this BP crew. Just to go back for a second, but the tickets that we have for the playoffs for this ALDS game, we have 472 tickets, and the really cool thing is that we are going to be donating with every single ticket that comes in for the playoffs. All 472 tickets, each one of those tickets is going to be have another game corresponded with that ticket for 2020. So we will have 472 tickets for a Yankees game, probably like early April, May game that we're going to be donating to Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital and a couple other nonprofits that have to do with children, that are benefiting children. But the Children's Hospital is going to be one of our main focuses next year. And moving forward with some of the nonprofit stuff. So I'm really excited about that. We'll probably spread it over a few games. Obviously, it's a lot of tickets for anybody to handle for one game. So we'll spread it out, and we'll spread it amongst a couple groups too, because there's just a lot. But yeah, that's something really exciting. So
that's an awesome angle of this whole thing. Yeah.
So cool, man. Everybody who's buying a ticket, like, you just know now also you're getting a playoff ticket, you're getting a t-shirt. And then the third thing is, boom, a really good feel good, because now we're sending 472 kids and families to a Yankees game to experience, what we all love too. So if you want to buy a playoff ticket, but maybe your girlfriend or your wife or somebody's like, hey, you can't spend that much money on a game ticket, you say it's for the children. It is for the children. Boston doesn't feed their children. What we do is we give back to our children. That's the difference.
We send them to baseball games. So Tanaka on Monday, he was okay. He just didn't look comfortable out there. Looked like he was.
Are we really going to overanalyze Tanaka? Do you think Tanaka, after a 3-hour rain delay, playing the Texas Rangers on Labor Day, I think he was going through the motions.
No. So what I'm saying is, I think he is experimenting. We're watching a mad scientist on the mound trying to figure something out before October. I'm okay with it. I'm not criticizing him. I'm completely okay with it, because the only way the Yankees win a World Series is if Tanaka figures his shit out and Paxton continues to improve, right? So
or just continue.
Let Tanaka go out there and just try and see, how am I going to get outs in October? Because on Monday, he didn't look comfortable. He gave up a few hard hit balls. He gave up a home run. It was 100-plus pitches in 6 innings, but it was only 2 earned runs. I know the Rangers aren't a great offensive team. They're missing Joey Gallo, who's one of the best offensive players in baseball. But he's tinkering with his splitter. He got 5 swings and misses on that pitch. And I was looking at his Brooks baseball card and the breakdown of all the swings and misses on all of his pitches broken out by start. And do you remember the start in Toronto he had about a month ago when it was like on a Sunday getaway day, and it was a fantastic start?
Yes, I
He
do.
barely threw any splitters that game. He was only relying on his slider. He got all of his swings and misses on his slider, no swings and misses on his splitter that day, and he got a lot of soft contact. That is a completely different Tanaka than we've seen, say, last time out or 2 times out ago, or last time out against Seattle when his splitter was fantastic. So he's just experimenting. And that while that makes me happy, it also makes me ask the question, well, who are we going to get in the playoffs?
I mean, I think experimenting is probably the wrong word. I think he's tinkering with the grips and changing different things. I also think that there was a 3-hour rain delay and that throws people off. But 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. He's trying to pepper the zone at that point, get through a game that needs to be finished. The difference between the splitter and the slider, and I know they're different pitches, obviously, and his splitter grip has changed, I think, since that Toronto start, right? Like that's about the time when he started messing around.
That article came out when the Yankees were on their road trip. So I know he got hit in Oakland.
Yeah.
And then the article came out. And
So
he was tinkering with the grip before that Oakland start.
Right. But we hadn't seen the success in the splitter. So what he was doing with that slider, though, and Cone talked about this a lot. I love having Cone on these broadcasts because he talks about the pitching and the small details about the pitching, and I really appreciate that. But he was talking about the slider essentially acting as the splitter for a while, because when he didn't have that splitter grip, that slider was getting a lot more downward action. It was a different type of slider. You're seeing, some guys have that big sweeping motion on a slider that's going left to right or right to left, depending on where you're throwing the ball from. Well, Tanaka's slider, you're getting some more downward action as well. And it was essentially acting as that type of splitter. So he was changing his pitches up, changing the eye level. And now we're seeing with this new splitter grip, or the adjusted splitter grip, that he's able to get more of the downward action on the splitter. And then the slider can be more of a complementary piece as well, changing speeds and things. But I think he was actually using that as in the same way he would use the splitter before he lost that grip.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, he's out there against Texas, who's not a great team. So he's able to do that. He's got the leniency to try and figure that out. Yeah, the 3-hour rain delay sucks. Like, no one wants to say you're playing a 1 o'clock game on a holiday. The last thing you want to do is sit there for 3 hours before.
Yeah, I mean, at least
game.
they kind of knew it was going to happen, and they were able to prepare themselves, because it's not like that one came out of nowhere. They knew that rain delay was going to happen for a while. So essentially, that's kind of what they did. They almost acted like it was a 4 o'clock game.
Right. And Paxton, he has been really good lately, and I think the big difference when you look at his games broken out is the first inning problem. It's seemingly gotten better. I don't want to say it's gone away because I don't want to jinx anything, but when you go back 7 starts, very quickly, let me run through this. To the latest start against Boston, when he gave up that home run to JD Martinez. You remember that game?
Mm-hmm.
Since then, so he gave up that in the first inning. Against Baltimore, at Baltimore, nothing in the first inning. He went 6 2/3. Home against Baltimore, allowed 1 in the first, ends up going 6. Cleveland, 2 in the first, ends up going 5. That was not a great start. And then he's on a little nice run. Dodgers, Seattle, Texas, nothing allowed in the first inning, and he's gone at least 5 innings in all of them. Seattle, that was the weird start where he lost the strike zone, but against the Dodgers in Texas, 6 2/3 and 7 innings against Texas, he struck out 5 of the first 6 hitters against Texas. I mean, he was overpowering in the first 2 innings, and he struck out 12 guys in 12 innings, in 7 innings, only 1 walk and 1 hit.
Yeah.
So he was overpowering the Rangers lineup, and that's exactly what Paxton, who's got an overpowering fastball, can do against a crappy lineup. The last thing you want Paxton to do against the Rangers is not throw strikes and get himself in trouble, and then boom, here we go again.
I mean, even when the rundown of those games that you just said, even that Boston game, when he gave up that home run to JD Martinez, like, I thought even in that game he looked different from the start.
He hung a curveball to JD Martinez.
Yes, it was a bad pitch, but that first inning he looked dominant up until that pitch, and then he went and I think he threw 6 innings right on that day as well. So
all that he gave up.
He's had his stuff. He's had his stuff now for a little while, and you're right. Once he starts, I don't think it's a problem anymore the first inning, because I think a lot of it was headspace. I think he had to get mentally over that hurdle, and just get that confidence to know that he can get through that
Oh, yeah,
inning and figure that out.
Everyone knows, okay, why is the guy struggling in the first inning? It's mental.
Right, but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. When you add up 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 games, and you sprinkle in one bad pitch to Boston, and then maybe another one that you give up some runs. Like, to me, that you've overcome that hurdle. So I think he has overcome that hurdle because it's not physical, and it's not something that you can just it's something that you can't just turn on and turn off because it's such a mental grind to get out of that.
Yeah, he's actually I'm gaining confidence with each time out with Paxton.
I mean, when you're seeing that even that fastball, he's dialing it up to 98 miles an hour, and he could throw it 92 to 98. He's changing speeds on his fastball too. He's showing different things. He's working in breaking pitches more often.
The breaking ball has made his fastball more effective because there was a breakdown. Rohan wrote a great article a couple weeks ago about this, where everything he was throwing was basically one speed. Yeah, it was a cutter and a fastball, but a guy can gear up for 92 plus. He's going to gear up for 92 plus. It doesn't really matter if you're throwing 92 cutter or 94 four-seam fastball. You can gear up for that speed. But now if you can drop a low 80s curveball on somebody, that completely changes the approach at the plate the hitter has to take.
Well, it also changes it changes the timing. It changes the eye levels. It changes so many different things, because when you're throwing a fastball and a cutter in the same, around the same speed, well, he was also not hitting his spots. He was also leaving the ball over the plate. He was also, walking more guys and throwing more balls. And when you're doing that, then now guys are focusing on something hard coming over the plate. And, whether it cuts in on the bat or it stays out over the barrel, that's it's not that much of a difference when you're missing your spot. So I think the fact that he is changing speeds like that, he's changing eye level, he's throwing strikes, but he's also changing speeds on individual pitches. Like, the fastball has a differentiator of 5 or 6 miles an hour sometimes. That's huge. That's a big deal. Not a lot of guys can do that.
Way too early question that I'm going to make you answer.
That we've probably asked like 5 times already.
Is he the game 1 playoff starter?
I still think it's Tanaka right now, but it's a decision to be made. So I think that when we're looking at Herman, I don't think they would roll out Herman in game number 1.
I don't either, because that means Herman will need to come back. I think as big of a part of anything on who you start in game 1 of the ALDS is who do you want starting game 5 of the ALDS?
Yeah, and
because game 1 starter starts game 5, unless you want to bring someone back on short rest.
Right. But if we're calling it right now, I still think Tanaka is that guy.
Okay. I think
but Paxton.
Paxton, in my mind, I'm seeing more consistency out of James Paxton, and that could change in the next 3 weeks. And I know Tanaka has a playoff record, and Paxton doesn't. But I like what are you showing me right now? Who's giving me the best stuff right now, best starts right now going into the playoffs? I would go probably Paxton, Tanaka, Herman, and then Severino plus Chad Green, or whatever their plan is if they can get Severino back. Because we're going to talk about Severino in a minute, but time's kind of running out.
Well, I mean, I don't think time's running out. Like, he's on a path. They understand where the time is. They understand where he is, and he's doing everything he needs to do at this point. So
But his next start is going to be Friday with Trenton. Okay?
Yeah.
He only pitched an inning plus in his first one. So I can't imagine he's going to go more than 2 innings in this one. Do you think then they'd bring him up to the majors for that would be around September 11th, and they would be at Detroit? I can't see them doing that. I think that's too soon if he's only gone 2 innings in the minors.
Again, what's the difference in throwing a minor league start? And like you said, the minor league games are gonna end once all the playoffs end for Scranton and all that. I know the Gulf League totally stopped it.
It's the difference between getting him 2 starts at the majors or 3 starts at the majors. Because if they bring him up,
do we care about the starts? Do we just need him to get the
outings? Call it an outing.
We need him to get the arm ready. We need to get the body ready. If he's able to throw 3 innings for Scranton, why the hell not have him throw it against the Detroit Tigers? Because there's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm just asking what you think they're going to do. Because if they bring him up on the 11th, that gives him 3 outings in the majors. If they bring him up on the 17th, home against the Angels. That gives him two outings in the majors.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him throw in Detroit, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they held him back and just kept going. So
you could also squeeze him. So if they bring him up on the 17th, you could fit in 3.
They don't want to squeeze him. Whatever. I don't like the word squeeze.
Well, it would be on the last day of the season.
No, hell no.
Well, that could still line up for a potential game 4. That would be actually perfectly 5 days rest.
Maybe, but it's still it's playing with fire at that point. Now you're playing with fire. What if something happens?
That's why I'm saying the timetable is an issue.
Well,
yeah, you say he's on a path.
It just is what it is.
It's something that it's not like you have a lot of room to play around with. You've got to really map this thing out, and I'm sure they've mapped it out. I'm sure they've got 10 nerds on this thing.
Oh yeah, he's got his own nerd squad.
We've only got a half a nerd between the two of us on this.
Yeah, the thing is that Betances and Severino now have a nerd squad that's just following them around and making sure.
It's like the Best Buy Geek Squad except the Yankees Nerd Squad.
It's do you ever see the movie The Girl Next Door, where the kid goes to the prom with like the porn star?
It's a remake of Risky Business.
And but he has his minions. So the minions are all filming and they're doing minions. And he's always like telling them to do. That's like the nerd pack that's following around Severino, and he's just like barking orders at them in Spanish.
That was a good movie.
I would love to get a GoPro on one of those nerds' heads.
They're not going to let out that secret sauce though.
No, I mean you can turn the sound off. I just want to see it.
You just want to see it. You just want to see the noogies.
It'll be like a 7-Eleven convenience store.
You want to see how the Yankees players haze the nerds is what you want to see?
Yeah, I do.
Everyone hit dingers in this game. Encarnacion back hit a home run, 10th as a Yankee, so that makes pretty much everyone has double digits as a Yankee. Sanchez set a new record for not only him but a Yankees catcher. He's now got 34. Which Glaber tied on Wednesday night. And then Gardner, 20th home run of the season. I know he's hit 21 in his career, but 20 home runs on early September for Brett Gardner is laughable, in my opinion. Laughable for so many reasons. Laughable in a good way and a bad way for baseball. Bad way for baseball because we know the balls are just hilariously juiced. Good way for Gardner because he was almost not brought back this year. Then we didn't think he was going to get much playing time because the outfield was crowded. Then he had a horrendous start to his season. And here we are in September, and he's having his most powerful, his most best year from a power standpoint ever.
Yeah, I mean, it goes across baseball. I mean, he's also his approach at the plate as he's gotten older has changed as well. He's not that same like slap hitter.
He was a slap hitter. He didn't hit his 20th home run until his 5th year in baseball.
Right. So he's changed quite a bit. And I think as he's getting older, his biceps keep getting bigger. Like the dude, he's not.
Well, you know what he does all off.
He's not leaving anything in the weight room. Dude's
he's got a farm.
Picking them up and putting them down.
He's got a farm in
country strong.
South Carolina or North Carolina in the off season, chopping wood, moving stuff around. That is what functional strength. Okay.
Oh, yes.
That's why Brett Gardner has been durable. All the knocking on the wood, because he's not in the weight room just like concentrating on his biceps. He's moving in a nice fluid motion, getting all the muscles proportioned. That's why guys back in the day, like in the off season, Mickey Mantle, he would just go home and chop wood all off season. That's why his forearms were massive.
Yeah, no, he's having a hell of a year, and nobody predicted anything that with the durability of him, the fact that he's been just such an integral part of this team. I mean, I eat crow for sure on Brett Gardner in what he's done. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, you eat crow? You eat crow? Do you remember my off-season plan? Do you remember my off-season plan?
Vaguely. It didn't include him. I know that.
I said the Yankees should not re-sign Brett Gardner because they have Jacoby Ellsbury on the team, and he's essentially the same player when on the field. So that was wrong.
So there's a thread going on in the Facebook group, and now that number 7 needs to be changed.
But you know what I did say in my offseason plan? Re-sign Lance Lynn.
Okay. Congratulations. You got really lucky on Lance Lynn, and it was really just because there was nobody else out there at that point. And
I got really lucky on Lance Lynn. I've never seen anyone get lucky with off-season plans or predictions before.
You sure? I mean, look. Gary Sanchez is about to hit 35 home runs, and by the way, I predicted 35 home runs for him, which would be which is a Yankee.
That is not a bold prediction. He hit 33 2 years ago.
He literally is setting the bar, the benchmark. It's a record.
He already set the record.
History.
He already had the record.
It's still another record.
All right. I will give you.
I want you to know that literally everything I've
20
said,
homers.
You can give me everything, Andrew. Everything I said is coming true.
Oh yeah, like Luis Cessa.
Luis Cessa, yes.
Breakout star, Luis Cessa.
He's got like a 3.7 ERA now. He's probably been the biggest surprise out of the bullpen that he's still here. Yeah.
Okay, that he's still here.
Look, people don't like Luis Cessa because of his name and who he is. He's actually pitched really well this year.
So Luis Cessa, when we're talking about playoff roster, he's probably the long man in the bullpen in the playoffs, because I would definitely go Luis Cessa instead of Sabathia or Happ.
Wow, and that's crazy. Think about that.
No, I know.
You're going.
I'm not.
Cessa over J-Happ.
I'm not. I'm no longer making a joke out of this. I'm saying seriously, I would pick Luis Cessa as the last guy pitcher on the roster than Happ or Sabathia. He can give you more value because we've seen him pitch out of the bullpen, and Happ and Sabathia are not getting starts in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Happ's an interesting case because if he could string together a few starts and seemingly look the part, because I think he looked pretty good on his last start.
Okay, fine. If the rest of his starts are very good, then fine. That's it.
Well, I think that J-Happ is an interesting case because of the length that he can give you if he is going well at that point. So he's of anybody, he has the most to control.
Okay,
I think
so then
nobody will believe CC on. CC is what he is.
No, because he can't even give you innings
pitch by pitch. Exactly.
So he's got no value to you really outside of yelling at guys in the dugout, which is I think has good value.
I do think it's good value, but you don't need to be on the roster for that.
But then Happ, you're using him in one of two situations. Either you're getting blown out and you don't want to waste good arms in the bullpen, or it's an extra inning game and you've used everyone else and it's the 13th inning and you just are sending someone out there to pitch until his arm falls off.
Or you have one of those games early in a series and you need a guy to start a game and he's a guy that can get you length.
Wait, what do you mean you have one of those guys?
If you have a bad start early on, game 1 or 2, and then you have to go to the bullpen and you're using a lot of arms.
That's what I just said. You're getting blown out and you don't want to use Ottavino, Canely just to get through innings. You use Happ.
It doesn't mean you're being blown out. It could be a close game. It could be an extra inning game.
No, if it's a close game, if it's the third inning and it's 3-3 in game 1 of the ALDS, you are not bringing in J-Happ.
You just missed everything I said. You need to open the ears and let's restart.
You said if it's a close game.
No, I said it's a close game and you're using all of your pitchers, you may be at a point where in that Severino start, maybe you want to try to get more length of that guy out of that start because your bullpen has been worked early in the series.
So
J-Happ is now a guy that can give you another option out of the quote bullpen for the playoffs to start the game.
He would partner with Severino to be in.
No, he would start the game and then you go from there. There's no plan at that point. You have a guy that has the potential to go deeper into a game than anybody else. And it's not if you're in that position. Do you want Luis Cessa to start that game or do you want J-Happ to start that game? Because who gives a shit who's mopping up?
Cessa.
No.
Do you realize that
again? This is all dependent on if J-Happ has a few good starts going into the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, fine. Qualify it with that. But to this point in the season, J-Happ's been the worst starter in Major League Baseball.
I understand that, but again, there's a qualifier here. He's got if he shows for the rest of the season that he's pitching at a decent level, because I think he showed something in his last outing. Maybe that he can roll that up and get to more of a guy that he's been in the past. Nothing on paper this year has said that. I understand
the
that.
risk with Happ is just the home runs are just off the chart. He's giving up like 2 per 9 innings, and I get it. He's a fly ball pitcher pitching in the worst time to be a fly ball pitcher, but it's way too risky with his fly ball rate and his home run rate that he's given up. You can lose a game so quickly in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. You can lose the game, and then you need people to come in and stifle.
And it also depends on how they're going to compile the bench. Who's going to be the bench players, because they've got so many options, so many great options actually.
Yeah, like Tyler Wade.
I don't think Tyler Wade's going to be one of those options.
I wouldn't go as that far. You might see a Tyler Wade sneak on to the end of the roster.
Why? Because of his base running?
Because of his base running and flexibility in defense.
But they've found other guys like Mike Tauchman's a really good base runner.
Okay, he can't play the infield.
But you've got other guys to play the infield.
I'm just saying he adds that flexibility, and Mike Tauchman is not Tyler Wade on the base paths. Sorry, he's not. He can't go out there and steal a bag.
Okay, he's not as fast as Tyler Wade, but I think he's a good pinch running option, and he gives you more total package wise than Tyler Wade. I mean, Tyler Wade's taking the dick pills, so you don't know. But total player, give me Tauchman over Tyler Wade.
We'll see. We'll see how Tauchman ends the season. I think there's a potential that this pumpkin or this carriage is turning into a pumpkin. Also, there's also that. And Tyler Wade, you know what you're not looking for offense with that guy. That's
although he's been okay since his call up a couple weeks ago. I got a question for you. Another question. If Yankees did sign Lance Lynn and he had a same season as he's been having, do you think fans would be excited about him being the ace going into the playoffs? Quote, ace. Because he's pitched like an ace this year. He's got 6 fan WAR, which I believe is second according to Fangraphs, but I think he's first in Baseball Reference WAR for pitchers, or maybe that's flipped, vice versa.
Why can't they just have one WAR? Why do they have to have different WARs for sites?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little annoying.
Industry standard.
Do you really care?
Well, I think it makes it a lot more complicated and a lot more like, it just takes credibility away from the actual stat, in my opinion.
Well, one of them factors in what the Baseball Reference one, I believe, factors in more of ERA into WAR, and then the Fangraphs one factors in more FIP.
So if the Fangraph nerds and the Baseball Reference nerds met in a dark alley and started snapping around, getting their switchblades out, are they who's winning?
So here I'm gonna equate it to this. So old money.
Does everybody just run away when they realize they're gonna actually fight?
It's the old money, new money. Okay, Baseball Reference is old money. And
we're in old money, new money with advanced metrics.
Yes.
There's no way.
Yep, Baseball Reference is old money, and Fangraphs is new money.
That's true. Their sites do shit. If you look at their sites just on an aesthetic standpoint, Baseball Reference needs to get their shit together.
Yes,
I hate their website.
There are a lot of Baseball References definitely can be considered nerdy, but it's still a lot of traditionalists. There's still a lot of traditional metrics that go into Baseball Reference. Fangraphs is all new, flashy metrics. It's all that tech money. Everyone got rich in the .com era on Fangraphs. Everyone got rich on oil money and IBM stock on Baseball Reference.
Baseball Reference looks like an Excel spreadsheet online. It's infuriating.
But
every
site,
time I try to go on, I lose my mind.
The site loads quickly. So when we're recording a podcast and I'm looking something up,
your brain works slowly trying to find anything, so it kind of counteracts it.
When I am looking something up on a podcast and I don't want to completely stall out my computer, I load Baseball Reference instead of Fangraphs. But if I'm not recording a podcast and I want to do some research for the podcast, I go to Fangraphs. A little behind the scenes for you.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever I try to go to Baseball Reference in the middle of a show, I get lost. I don't care how fast my
brain shuts
runs,
off.
I'm just like, I don't even know where to go. There's too many down arrows that can collapse up and down, spreadsheets, and it's a horrible website.
So you didn't answer my question. So
I don't even remember what it was.
Would fans feel excited about Lance Lynn being the quote unquote ace?
I think if we saw him all year long and he was the guy that he has proved that he is this year, then I think fans would get behind him. Because I think, first of all, on a fan side, you got to look at certain things, right? You got to look at how they've done over the course of a season, where your confidence meter is with a certain guy, and he's shown it all year long. He's been good. Nobody expected it, so that's a good thing. I feel like when you exceed expectations, and you know what he does, he looks the part. If he's that guy and he's coming out and throwing, the way he has been this year and
high 90s. He was a 92, 93 mile an hour guy with sinkers. And this year he's one of these spin rate revolution guys.
He was also coming back from injury. Like this is another year past injury.
No, I know, but he was never this pitcher. So he literally changed his entire approach to pitching this offseason. And he pulled a Cole or Verlander And it's all about four-seam fastball, spin rate, and curveball.
Yeah.
And it completely makes sense why that succeeds in today's game, because can you miss bats?
Right. No, so I think people
sinkers don't play anymore.
Good with it.
Sinkers don't play anymore. Pitch to contact guys don't play anymore because no longer does weak contact not beat you.
Yeah,
I think that's part of what we're seeing with CC this year too. The last few years, Sabathia was getting weak contact, and we're like, okay, that's not going to kill you. Yeah, he'll give up some soft singles, but you got to string a lot of those soft singles together to beat Sabathia. Now he's still going to walk people, but that soft contact is leaving the ballpark.
I think there's a number of factors for him. I mean,
he's old and
he's old. Yeah, his knees literally don't work. I'd be surprised if there's any cartilage left in that knee, and he's because the weak contact has a different result at this point. He's got to be even more, exact with his pitching, and it's a culmination of things that are just not good for him, which is fine because he's old and just needs to go yell at people.
Yeah, and I think the thing working against Lance Lynn is that if it from a fan perspective would be that his name is Lance Lynn and it's not Justin Verlander or Garrett Cole, which when you see what they're doing from game to game, and the name backs it up and the resume backs it up, then you can get a little bit more excited.
Well, he's also on the Texas Rangers, and I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to the Texas Rangers too. So I think if he was on a contender and putting this season together, you'd get a lot more hype.
Actually contending until like July.
Yeah. Until July. That's not even,
that's why they didn't trade Mike Minor, because they didn't know if they were still in it or not.
Well, they're stupid if that's the case. They have bad baseball people if they actually truly believe that.
And Gallo went down.
So even if I think a lot of people would be very surprised that they were even contending up until July.
Yeah,
because they didn't notice what was happening in the American League West.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. He's been crazy. Like, you just look at some of these metrics and it's crazy. 0.8 home runs allowed per 9 innings, which is fantastic for today's game. Justin Verlander, who I think is going to win the Cy Young, I think has given up like 1.6 or 1.7 home runs per 9 innings.
I mean, he's on the graphics when you put up guys with most home runs.
It's all solo home runs. Literally, the only way you score against Justin Verlander is solo home runs.
Yeah, because he's coming at you. Yep.
So,
and a lot of those would be fly balls. So his season would be even better if you put it back a couple of years.
Yeah, and I think the Cy Young anyway is going to be between Verlander, Garrett Cole, Lance Lynn, and Mike Minor. That's the guys you're looking at.
It's Verlander.
All Texas. It's Verlander or Cole, I think.
Yeah.
But I think Cole might set a record for strikeout rate this year for a starting pitcher. So Severino's getting a next rehab Friday with Trenton because of weather. Betances will also pitch on Friday in Trenton. So that's a good game to go to if you're in the Trenton, New Jersey area.
Definitely, you get to see a lot of big boys on that one. Man, he's another big piece. That's another guy that's just. I think they definitely have a plan and a schedule for Severino and Betances, and it seems like they're almost in tandem. They're pretty damn close, but it's looking good so far. Knock on wood again, man. But these guys, like, this is the thing. Get them moving along slowly, because if you don't, you get nothing from them.
Yeah. So I was, the whole season I was saying Severino's more important than Betances, blah blah blah, because you need starting pitching. I don't know. I don't know anymore, because I know Severino's not going to be the starting pitcher we thought he was going to be back in March. He's not going to be a 7-inning guy. He's not even going to be a 4-inning guy, I don't think. So really, what's the difference between 3 innings out of Severino or an inning plus out of Betances? Like, value-wise, they could be more similar than I originally thought.
Well, yeah, because the innings are going down with Severino, but I still think Severino gives you the ability to get length. I mean, Betances is going to be max one inning guy, so you're getting more of an impact.
But you add that 1-inning guy to an already deep bullpen.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what Severino's going to do too, though. I mean, he's going to be in the mix.
Yeah, and when Betances is going right, I think he's the best reliever on the Yankees.
He's one of the best relievers in baseball when he's on, if not the best reliever in baseball when he's on, as far as that hook and that fastball. But there's a long way to go for us to see that. We need to see that.
All right, so they're going to Boston, 4 games. Like we said, are they in it or out of it? The Yankees take care of business, and then the Red Sox, no. They can all go pack up. It's almost football season. They can just finish their season. That would be nice. And the Yankees only have one more homestand this year against the Angels and Toronto, September 17th to 22nd. It's crazy that no more home games pretty much.
And they haven't lost a home series since April.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Was it the first week of the season that they lost that against Detroit?
They lost an Orioles series.
No, I know,
well.
but then they played Detroit that next series, and I think they lost 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that was it. There might have been the one at the end of the month, but that was with everybody there. And that's what happens, when everybody's on your team and healthy and ready to go. Not playing as well. Need that little edge. You need that back against the wall. So
a couple things I want to talk about before we get out of here. I forgot to mention that JJ threw me a little fake bachelor party at the BPCrew event on Saturday. Him and I have had this back and forth all season. It's gotten nasty at times. I think he's tried to spread some unwarranted rumors about me, but this was actually the nicest prank anyone has ever thrown.
I mean, if you like wearing a sash, that's
I went into
something.
it and I was like, I am no way in hell am I wearing that sash and that crown and carrying around that booby mug all day.
Those were balls. Those were not boobs. Those were balls.
Yeah, well, they had little nipples on them. So that person might want to get their balls checked out. But I ended up wearing it all day because I got a little drunk and didn't care anymore.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a nice little addition to the day. I think that when you're looking at a bachelor party, pretty good one. Yankee Stadium.
People legitimately thought it was my bachelor party. They're like, hey, let me buy you a beer. I was like, oh, I better wear this thing more often.
We had drink tickets, a lot of drink tickets.
At the game.
They, it was your bachelor party, so I don't know why you're trying to illegitimize it.
And the other thing I want to talk about is the Yankees were wearing NFL jerseys after last night's game. Obviously, NFL season is starting. So click on that link I put in there, and each player. I want to go through and analyze each player and who they were wearing because I think there's some telling things about the football player they associate with most. So Herman, Glaber, Urshela, and Guerin were all wearing Barkley jerseys. Hometown guy, running back for the Giants. That makes sense. This one's a little concerning. Clint Frazier was wearing an Antonio Brown jersey.
I don't know why anybody is shocked by that or concerned by that.
It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Well, there's a couple of reasons you could say this. The helmet thing, the maybe he's advocating for player safety. And he understands the concussion. And he understands the concussion symptoms are very real. And Antonio Brown if he wants to wear something that he feels comfortable in, the man should wear what he wants. And that's what Clint Frazier's doing. Not that he's a prima donna pain in the ass.
Antonio Brown has never been known to piss off his own team and get traded, or then piss off his new team and get fined $50,000 for not showing up to mandatory workouts.
No, that's not the guy.
No.
He's definitely about player safety and concussion, making sure that people are, getting some good awareness out there about the concussion symptoms.
Our boy Cameron Maben was wearing Randy Moss. I love that. I'm a big Randy Moss guy.
Maben was also wearing the on the players weekend. He had the throwback '90s cartoons on his shoes, on his cleats, right? Yeah. So he strikes me as like an late '90s, early 2000s guy who likes that era and will show it. So yeah, I can see that. I see the Randy Moss connection. It makes a lot of sense to me.
There's a few guys on the team because they're I guess they're Eagles fans. I know Canely is a Philly guy. Is Chad Green? Chad Green was wearing an Eagles jersey. Where's Chad Green from? I think he's a Cali guy. Is he not? So is he just bandwagon guy because the Eagles just won a championship? Brayton was wearing Von Miller. I love that. That's just like I'm gonna overpower you kind of move right there.
With Zach Britton? I mean, It doesn't really fit.
No, but
all right. It doesn't. I guess so. You're trying to act.
Trying
a tough guy.
Trying to convince myself that I can trust Zach Britton in the playoffs.
Tyler Wade,
and that he's not going to walk people.
Tyler Wade wearing Baker Mayfield
people
makes
did not
a lot
like
of
that.
sense. Makes a lot of sense.
They did not like that.
Tyler Wade is a very, very he's very attuned to pop culture, and I think he likes he likes everything that's cool and hip, and that's what Baker Mayfield is right now.
And last but not least, DJ LeMahieu was wearing a T-shirt.
You're goddamn right he was.
He was not turned around. When that picture went out, I think Glaber posted it on his Instagram, and all the Yankees were wearing a Savage's Yankees shirt. Everyone was facing the camera with the shirt on, and there was one guy in the background with his back of his head to the camera, head down. It had to be DJ LeMahieu, probably going over scouting reports.
Dude, this is why I love this guy now. He has really become one of my favorite Yankees on this team, if not up there. It's hard for me to rank these guys because they're all, I have admiration for a lot of these dudes, but he is just such a, we all knew that he was a good player coming over, but we didn't know what he would look like on a daily basis. And the fact that this guy is that dude, he's in there. Some people are like, oh, he's not a teammate. Why isn't he with the rest of the team?
Yeah, no.
Because that's just his personality, man. He is just a chill, like level-headed, like same zone, probably eats the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Gets up at the same time every day, has a really big routine, like that's just like pretty rigid as far as his own personal things. And he works his ass off.
He's a no-nonsense kind of guy. That is who you want up to bat with the game on the line. No nonsense. Right. Not worried about what his Instagram caption's going to be after the game. Not worried about how he's going to look on the replays. I'm just going to get this base hit.
Not worried about what anybody else is saying in the crowd. Can't even hear them. It's like the Legend of Bagger Vance, the movie with Will Smith and Matt Damon, where he gets into the zone. Do you remember that movie, the golf movie? Where
I never saw it.
They have like there's a thing where he gets like tunnel vision, okay, where he just focuses everything out, and they do it on the movie.
What am I? I'm mixing that up with Tin Cup.
You can't mix those two movies up. Tin Cup literally
Kevin Costner, right?
He put the ball in the water
50 times.
4 times. So no, you should really. There's no way you can mix those two movies up. Anyway, whatever. He's in the zone. Like he just sees nothing else besides him.
It's
and
not Caddyshack.
All right, you should go rewatch because they're not even close to the same movies.
All right, that's gonna do it. Any last words before we get out of here? I had another point on DJ LeMahieu, but I forgot what it was.
That he's the greatest baseball player in baseball history?
Oh, it was that I was listening to the radio broadcast on Monday, and you know how they have the players, cut in and do the WFAN reads?
Yeah.
DJ LeMahieu's couldn't have been more monotone. It was like, hi, this is DJ LeMahieu, and you're listening to WFAN New York.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It was like
one
ad read, and I'm out of here.
I do not want him to be good at that stuff. I want him to be good at baseball, hitting the ball. I'm surprised, like when he walks up with batting gloves, surprises me. Like,
yeah,
to me,
he does strike me as a no batting gloves kind of guy, like piss on your hands all winter kind of guy.
Piss on your hands, throw some pine tar, work it into your hands. Like his hands are probably, just nice and leathered. That's the kind of guy I see DJ LeMahieu.
There's really nobody in baseball, no one on the Yankees anyway, that still goes no batting gloves. Like Posada rocked it for a long time, but I can't really remember many people with no batting gloves recently.
I mean, to me, it's utterly it's crazy. Just use the batting gloves.
Oh,
they give you a better grip. They're better for your hands. It's just it's one of those things that technology has given you, so use them.
Yeah, well, Vlad Guerrero never used it either.
Yeah.
Like,
there are certain dudes that just didn't. I think you have to start that way and never use them, and then that's the reason.
It's something about being able to feel the bat in your hands makes.
It's what you're used to.
Posada said he used to feel like he had more control over the bat because he could feel it in his hands.
I understand that, but a lot of guys, they grow up with.
But I gotta imagine
everybody grows up with batting gloves now.
I gotta imagine his hands were so callous he couldn't feel shit.
Right. Well, yeah, you could. I mean, you feel certain things. They just you feel that feeling of the contact a little bit better because you can feel it for sure. The gloves do take a little bit of that shock away.
All right, I'm gonna assume those were your last words, and our next episode will be on Monday. We're gonna do mailbags and voicemails. Call up the voicemail line. It's 646-480-0342. Against the Red Sox this weekend, when the Yankees are just digging that hole deeper and stuffing the Red Sox into that hole, I want you to call up the voicemail line and tell us why you're fired up. Submit mailbag questions at BronxPinstripes.com/podcast and all the social media channels, and we will talk to you on Monday.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. Make sure you find us on iTunes and subscribe so you can get all new episodes directly onto your phone. If you do like the show, we'd love for you to take a minute and give us a 5-star rating and review in iTunes. It really helps us out and allows us to create more shows. We're on Twitter at Bronx Pinstripes and the same on Facebook. You can always find us there talking Yankee baseball. Thanks again, guys, for your support. Really appreciate it, and go Yankees.